Shiv, welcome to the podcast. I'm really excited to have you here because you have a lot to say about personal branding, about content production, and you have the technical background as well. So I'm sure a lot of the CTOs listening to this podcast can learn from your experience. You wrote over 600 articles with over 1 million readers reading them. You wrote over 3,000 pieces of social media content and you published 21 books. I mean, that's just unbelievable. It's just impressed by reading these numbers. I cannot imagine, writing so much content. So I'm sure that you can share with fellow audience some of the interesting takeaways, what worked, what didn't work, and they can also eventually get more visible on the job market. Before we dive deeper and start talking about authority or personal branding, why don't we bring some more clarity into these two terms? What's the difference based on your experience? What would you suggest to focus on?
Okay. Thank you, Michael, for this opportunity. I really enjoy talking to you. Yeah, there is this little bit of a confusion, I would say, between these two terms, personal branding and authority. And from my own experience, I think there is a difference. And personal branding is, if I can define from my perspective, personal branding is something where people know you for what you do. Whereas authority is where people know you for what you do and they feel comfortable or compelling to come to you for help. Whether it is hiring you or whether it is coming together for a joint venture or any kind of association. And that's what authority, when you try and focus on earning your authority, gets you. So these are two things which often are interchangeably used. But I would say that if you have a specific objective that you have to get from being visible on online, building your online presence, then you should go for earning your authority.
Hmm. And the authority is built by posting content, I guess, becoming an author. And we are going to also discuss the different types of content that one can produce. So if you were starting again now with some visibility, but not too much, not 600 articles, 3,000 posts, but if you imagine you are a CTO who posts every now and then, but doesn't have too much traction just yet, what would you do? Would you focus on short term or short form content or long form content? What would you do? How would you approach it?
Yeah, writing content is definitely a part of your strategy for building authority. The other part is also showcasing your results and showcasing how you can help people get results. Because talking about a particular topic is one, but actually showing how you have been going about getting results and how you have helped others get results, that is where you really, your authority really comes to the fore. So when it comes to starting off, of course, I've done a lot of trial and error, uh, having been an employee for 15 years, and then after a burnout episode, starting solo, building from the scratch, completely based on the content. I've done a lot of mistakes, tried a lot of different approaches. And if I were to do that all over again, here is what I would suggest that first of all, figure out who's your target audience. Whom are you writing for, or whom are you looking to serve? Coming from the agile background of servant leader perspective, that is the first thing that you need to be clear about as to who are the people that you are going to have. And the second thing is, once you understand this, then where are they available? Where are they hanging out? Of course, for corporate and business, it is LinkedIn. So on LinkedIn, what should be your objective? That is what I would think of. Is it attracting people to work with you as a joint venture kind of an approach, or is it to get people to work for you as an employee, or is it to get projects, have that clarity. It could be multiple, of course, but have that clarity. Now you know whom you are writing for or whom you are interacting with, what are the channels, and how you are going to do it. And that is where you bring in the strategy as to, okay, on LinkedIn, this has to be my strategy. On my blog, this has to be my strategy. Based on the channels, you can then work out the strategy and then plan.
And with this in mind, who would you suggest is the target audience for a CTO who is kind of at the top of the corporate ladder and would look for a job in 3 months, 6 months, maybe in a year? In that case, is it the non-technical C-level executives the CEO should be writing content for, or rather for developers who would be very likely to look up at the technical leader for some guidance and tips?
I would recommend talk about what you have done, what kind of results you have brought, because the angle here is to be able to help other people by sharing your knowledge, sharing your insights, which you have gathered over the years. And they will do their job of attracting the right people. If, let's say, architects or junior developers or developers are seeing it, reading it, then they will want to work for you. But if CEOs or hiring managers or recruiters, they are typically the high level jobs are not very broadcast, right? So, but people will be looking for the right candidates. Then it establishes how much you know, how much you have, results that you have produced in your field. So that will attract them as well. So rather than writing for a specific persona, if you go with the focus of learning in public, they say, write about your wins, your losses, your lessons learned, insights, how you can achieve a certain thing. Even you can go as far as to predict the trend, with AI and other things coming, how will it impact your industry, your, customers, their businesses, so on and so forth. So it establishes you more as a thought leader because they know, okay, this person knows what he or she is talking about. And then that helps you earn, I would say, not build authority, earn authority in the target audience's perspective.
Awesome. And are there any specific prompts that you would recommend, something that comes to your mind just to make it easier to come up with some of the topics? Because, a lot of people spend 10 hours at work. They have lots of topics to talk about, but it's hard to bring those to the surface.
Yeah, I would recommend a variety because you can always have the core goal of educating, but then you also need to show a little bit of your lighter side as a person. People connect with you as a person. So when you talk about interesting customer experiences, for example, or a failure which you figured out the reason for, and now you're able to laugh at the some wrong decision that you made, kind of a thing. So it's education, but it also makes you connect with people as a person. That I think is more important. So from a strategic perspective, you will obviously have your content pillars, what are the 4 areas that you have expertise in, but you will also want to focus a little bit on what I call as edge topics, which could be on the lighter note, like fun elements, but connected with your work, etc. So having a sort of a mix is essential to do the education part as well as connect with people.
And with regards to those 4 pillars, do you have in mind something rather broader, for example, leadership or agile or team management, something like this, or do you have something else in mind?
Yeah, one would be obviously the technology that you have an expertise in, right? It could be technology stack, a specific technology, then the even subject matter expertise, right? Based on which industry that you're working in. And because you're in a leadership position, leadership uh, topics do become one of the critical pillars. And you see a lot of leaders talk about topics such as mental health or the flexibility of work, treating team empathetically, giving autonomy. Those kind of things, are some of the topics which will fall under the leadership category. So these two or three pillars would be something that you would start off with. And as you interact, as you write, and as you interact with the readers, you will figure out, okay, what's resonating with them, what's not. You may also discover new areas to talk about.
That's a great tip. And then some people may also face the fear or the uncomfortable feeling of posting some of the stuff online. First, because they think, well, is anyone interested in what I'm going to talk? Or it could be, is this good enough to be posted online? Is our legal or HR department okay with me posting this? So how to overcome, like how to know what is good topic to post about and where to draw the line?
Yeah. Some disciplines and some roles need you to sign a non-disclosure agreement. So it's always a good idea to check with your HR to figure out what are the areas that you should stay clear of. Probably you can't talk about specific clients. Um, are they okay with taking examples from there but not disclosing the client details? Things like that. That clarity has to be in place. Um, but apart from that, I've also seen a typical block that many people feel, including myself when I started, is this thought that what I know is pretty common. Everybody else knows. Why do I need to write about this? So some people call this curse of knowledge, that as years pass by and as you work on your craft, it feels to you that what you know is common sense, but it is not, right? For people who are behind you in their journey, what you know is could be life changing. So it's always better to simplify what you are writing about, especially if you are talking about technology, but not dumb down, right? There is a difference between simplification and dumbing down. Dumbing down assumes that the person is not capable of understanding what I'm trying to say. But simplifying with analogies, with examples, makes it easy to understand any complex topic that you are explaining. So focus on simplifying rather than using the jargons, because some jargon people may not understand, and they may just disconnect with what you're saying. So keeping that in mind, as we saw earlier, that you initially identify your target audience, you will also understand to what level of expertise you would have them, and to what level you want to simplify. All that information you will know during your initial research. Once you have that clarity, then you will be able to know how much to simplify. But the biggest thing is, do not assume that what you know is common sense other people already know. Even if they need, even if they know, maybe when you write it, it's just that nudge that they need in order to go and take action. That could be how it would work also. So don't assume that, just simplify, and don't hold back. That would be what I would recommend.
This is a great tip. It just reminded me that the other day I was reading an article that was 10 years old and I read it probably 3 times, the methodology. And it was just a great reminder anyways, because people forget. So especially once it is with some personal twist or some case studies that the person can include, could be super valuable. And on this note, then once you start posting, and you posted 600 articles, have you seen any trends over time, or is the algorithm changing recently?
Well, algorithm, I have tried to chase it, and my lesson has been that you write for a person and then tweak for algorithms. So when it comes to writing blog posts, you would want the search engine optimization elements to be in there so that when people search for specific keywords, hopefully they will see your articles right at the top in the search results. So, but that alone is not the goal. The goal is to make it simple for somebody to understand what you're writing so that they can take action. So most of your articles will be actionable from the perspective of where you meet people in their journey. Most of the LinkedIn social media articles will be little high level, but your LinkedIn posts will be high level, and the articles that you write will be much deeper. They'll connect you more closely with your audience. So write for a person from the perspective of being really, really valuable for them, and then tweak it for algorithms. So if it is, like I said, search engine optimization, the keywords, where they need to be, in H1 tags, H2 tags, and all of that. And for, algorithm on LinkedIn, which many people sort of get obsessed with. I think it's good to know how algorithm works so that you understand, okay, I need to have a good hook, and I need to write in a way that it engages people, etc. But even otherwise, you want to write because you want to engage people. So just think from that perspective of being helpful, writing in a way which is easier to understand, easier to read, easy on eyes, actionable, and if possible, a little bit of humor, etc. And an algorithm typically, is taken care of.
Mm-hmm. And when you say actionable, do you mean that at the end there should be some call to action, or the blog post should be actionable for the person to take the knowledge and execute on their own?
Yeah, both are necessary because, like I said, you have an objective for platform that you are on. You have an objective for every piece of content that you write. So if it's on LinkedIn, then you have an objective, whether it is to get them to have a conversation in your comment section, based on what kind of post that you're writing, top of the funnel, middle of the funnel, bottom of the funnel. Based on the type of the content piece, you would have a different call to action. If it's a bottom of funnel, maybe you want them to sign up for a free call or your course, or inquire about your coaching program, etc. And when it comes to article, again, you have micro and macro conversions, right? You may want them to leave a comment or sign up for your newsletter. That call to action is necessary, but also the content that you have given, can they take action and get a result? How much ever small it could be, but if your article can make them realize the essence of what you're trying to say and help them take action to get some kind of result, then that will go a long way in establishing your credibility and thus your authority. So I would say both are required.
Awesome, awesome. And now with some of these new technologies, with generative AI, it's easier to write some of these blog posts or social media content than ever before. So how do you incorporate some of these technologies? Like, do you have a list of topics and then get the ChatGPT to create those blog posts, or do you still do it manually and then get ChatGPT to tweak it for you, or you try to stay away from this?
I do use ChatGPT, and I use it as different avatars or profiles. I use it as a researcher. I use it as a critique. I use it to poke holes in what I've written. I use it to strengthen my outline. So you can use for different ways, and actually make your content much more easier to understand, much more effective, much more impactful. Um, at this stage, at least, what ChatGPT gives is very bland. It doesn't have soul. Um, but when you use it effectively like these different ways, then you can make it much more, much better, much more effective for the reader. You can achieve your goal much easier that way by using technology.
It's actually a great idea to ask ChatGPT to critique some of your blog posts. I haven't really thought about it, and it's a great one. So, do you mean uploading your newest article to ChatGPT and then asking in a prompt to give feedback, or do you have something like this in mind?
Yes. So I basically tell it who is this article for, and what is my objective from this article, and I ask it to act like my target audience for this article and tell me if the objective is served, or if it is not, then what are the recommendations that it has. So that often tells me, like, if something is complex, based on how clearly you define your target audience, it can give you more creative inputs or feedback. Based on that, maybe it will tell, okay, this particular concept that you're trying to explain seems a little difficult. Consider adding an example here, or consider adding an analogy here. Kind of a feedback. It just makes it much more easier than me assuming things. I ask it to don an avatar of my target audience and critique the piece of content that I'm giving.
Well, this is a great tip. Thanks for sharing. And are there any other types of content that one can repost or find somewhere online? Because one thing is to write articles, right, as we are just discussing, but then some people out there, they are posting videos or some memes or some other type of content. So have you also been experimenting with these on LinkedIn or other social media?
Yeah, mainly on LinkedIn. I think the type of posts matter, because you need to have some kind of variety. Although your post is valuable, if every day, if they're going to expect the same kind of content, it can get a little boring. So it helps to have some kind of variety. So you can use text posts. You can use text post with an image. In that image also, it can be a what I call as a value sheet. Value sheet is little lower form of cheat sheet. Cheat sheet is very extensive, right? A lot of information there. But value sheet is like 5 elements for a particular thing, kind of a visual representation of what your post is saying. It could be carousels. I have not yet tried with videos. That's something I'm working on. My ability to be on camera comfortably and then create videos, it's getting out of personal zone, comfort zone experience I need to have. But that I see, when done in the right way, can be very effective.
Awesome. And sometimes people share these videos that are republished or downloaded from other parts of the internet, and they republish them. Have you also seen something like this happening in your network?
I have seen others doing it. It does make sense when you have a strong take on a particular topic, and then you add an authority figure's take on the same topic. It's great if they match, but it's okay if they don't. But you basically are educating your audience on two, different takes on the same topic. So that can work really well.
Well, it sometimes also feels like a full-time job to be posting online on LinkedIn, maybe Instagram, maybe Facebook as well, and then also personal blog, and then write a book. So, how much time would you say a person should dedicate to being more visible on the job market?
Right. Yeah. Um, I know it's an often asked question, and I don't think there is a right or wrong answer. But in terms of approach, what I would suggest is start with one. LinkedIn being the best platform for any corporate and business related topics. Start with LinkedIn. And if you are not comfortable writing, I spent 6 months, first 6 months, just interacting with other people's posts in their comments. So my playing ground for learning how to write on LinkedIn was other people's comment sections. And that's where I, wrote, and some people reacted, and then I drew confidence from them to know how I can write for this particular platform. So start with one, and then start with whatever frequency is comfortable for you. If it is one post per week, that is great, but have this consistency, because it's very easy to feel very much motivated, spend a lot of time and write 3-4 posts in a week, and then next week not being able to do anything, and sort of you feel you've let yourself down. Rather, start with one post per week, and then consumption also is important. You don't just want to focus your time writing, but also read what others are writing in your niche, what comments they are getting for the pieces of content that they are writing. So all this will give you some ideas for how to write, for post contents, the topics, and so on. But start with one platform, one post per week, and if it is articles, then even one article every 2 weeks, because that takes more effort and research and all of that. Just start slow, but try and make it consistent. Have a cadence that you can comfortably stick with. That would be most important.
Awesome. And you also wrote 21 books, if I recall correctly, and 3 of them are bestsellers on Amazon. So when would you say is good time to actually start writing a book? It takes a while, right, to write 200, 300 pages. So how to even think when is good time, when everyone seems to be busy?
Yeah. One a myth that I would like to bust right at the beginning, because a lot of people think this, that if they're writing a book, it has to be 200 to 300 pages, but it's not the case. The page numbers do not really matter from my perspective. Mine, as well as a lot of other fellow authors' books that I've seen, are around like 100, 120 pages, 130 pages, or even less than 100. The whole idea is your book should be able to help a specific type of audience facing a specific problem, get a specific solution, and ideally using your unique specific way of getting that result, which you have gained over the years, which the expertise you've gained over the years. And since it's all in your brain, you already know these things, it's not too much of an effort to convert that knowledge into a book. So in my case, it so happened that I started writing blog posts. So I took about 8 to 9 months to write 350 plus articles on my blog. And then when nothing seemed to be working, although I was getting slow and steady SEO juice and organic traffic, I needed to get people onto my blog. And then I chanced upon Amazon as a platform. My goal for that was to write a book so that I get people to come to my blog from Amazon. So I converted some of my existing pieces of content, gave it a actionable angle, so that the entire book gives you one specific outcome. It was like a how-to guide, and then published it on Amazon. So it doesn't really take more than 3 to 3 months. If you are even spending, let's say, 30 minutes a day consistently, like, again, I keep coming back to this thing, consistency, because it doesn't have to overwhelm. You can take a systematic process, a system, and then do it like one task at a time, 30 minutes a day. And if you are keeping at it, the book will be done in a matter of months than years that some people think of.
Interesting, interesting. And then once you release the book and you have the articles online, then also some new opportunities start coming your way, right?
Yeah, you need to have, again, you need to have an objective for the book, in the sense, how do you want to leverage the authority you get as a published author? That has to be clear. And then as you write the book, many people think that you write the book and publish it, the job is done. It's not. As you write, you also need to create a small community. You need to get people, your target audience, know about the book that's coming up. Only then they can go and get it, read it, and get the results. So the effort is there as much as the effort that takes to write. The effort is also there after you have published the book, to make people aware of your book's existence and get them to read it.
But that could also be an opportunity to write some posts on LinkedIn,
Absolutely.
maybe with some
Yes.
screenshot or some photo of writing a chapter in the book. I've seen some people doing this as well.
Yeah. So
Awesome.
writing in public, as they say, build in public, right? Writing in public is a great way to, number one, find out how some of the topics that you are writing in the book are resonating with people. As you have done the book's outline, you know which concepts go in where, and you can write small posts on each of those concepts and see how people are receiving it. What questions are they posing? How are they responding? What kind of conversations they are having in those posts, comment section. Those will give you a lot of input to make your content much better. And as a strategy, we also, choose a few of these people as beta readers, and you work with them. I came from a startup field, so I take the approach of building a product to writing a book. That basically, product market fit kind of an approach will ensure that you end up creating a book which actually resonates, actually helps the target audience that you're writing it for. And yeah, creating that awareness about your expertise, about your upcoming book, getting help from them, even posting some teasers as to this is what's coming, etc., behind the scene kind of things. All those are marketing elements which will help you sell your book well once you publish it.
Yeah, and probably those marketing elements are even more important than the book itself, because the traction that you get on LinkedIn or other platforms will be especially useful to get new clients. Yeah. Interesting. Awesome.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Awesome. Before we wrap it up, is there any kind of last advice that you would like to give to fellow CTOs who are kind of posting, but not too much? They now learned these actionable tips from you, but they still may be a bit scared. They may still feel a bit intimidated, but by what everything could be done, and they're like, "Oh my God, I cannot write the book. I barely can finish my tasks on Friday." What would you suggest to them?
Yeah, I would suggest starting on LinkedIn. Again, as I said, who's my focus, who's my target audience, and then what do I expect from LinkedIn? If these two things are clear, then you start with whatever topic you feel most comfortable with. It could be even advice to people who are just entering your industry, or people who want to become a CTO. It doesn't have to be about your technology itself. Whatever you feel comfortable with, start writing about it. Like I said, again, cadence is very important, the consistency. Because when you start writing small pieces of content which are close to your heart, which will help people, you start getting confidence that, yeah, this makes sense. I feel comfortable, and this is something that I would have helped, somebody sharing with me when I got started. So that's what I'm doing now. I'm sort of giving back to the community. So when you have this kind of mindset that I'm contributing to the community, I'm helping people, the focus shifts from yourself to the people that you want to serve, and that dissipates all the anxiety and all of that. And you're okay if something, some posts do not do well. That's okay. It's all part of the game. But being comfortable about it. And if you are not comfortable, I would recommend start commenting on other people's posts. Start expressing your thoughts there. It's a low risk strategy. Nobody will come after you. You just speak what you feel about that particular topic, and spend doing that like 30 minutes a day to just get into that habit of writing something based on some trigger that you get, and then graduate to writing a post per week, and take it from there. Is what I
This is
would
actually,
suggest.
yeah, this is a great suggestion because one can get even bigger exposure by commenting on some trending post that has 20,000 likes and 500 comments, because people can notice and they reshare and they will see you commenting in the threads. So awesome, yeah, that's a good one. And where can people find more about you? Where if they would like to connect with you?
Best place is LinkedIn. I'm always on LinkedIn because I also ghostwrite for my clients. So I have to be on LinkedIn every single day. So best place to reach me is on LinkedIn.
Awesome. So I'll include the link in the show notes. Great. Well, thanks for joining. It was very useful, and I'm sure lots of the CTOs and tech leaders listening to this podcast feel now an itch to start posting on LinkedIn, at least the short post, or probably throw a few comments every now and then. So yeah, thanks for sharing. Thanks for joining.
Thank you, Michael. And your audience, if they need help, I'm more than happy to share whatever I know.